The Borrowed Axe, a miracle by the river, based on 2 Kings 6:2-17. In a quiet corner of ancient Israel, nestled between hills and dry lands, was a humble school not built of marble or gold, but of simple wood and stone. It was a school of the prophets, led by the wise and powerful man of God, Elisha. These young men were not studying politics or war. They were learning how to hear God's voice, how to live righteously, and how to serve a nation that had often forgotten the Lord. But as their numbers grew, so did their problem. "Teacher," said one of the students, "the place where we gather is too small for us." Another added, "Let us go to the Jordan River and cut down some trees. There we can build a larger home for our lessons and prayers." Elisha, always supportive of their zeal, replied, "Go ahead." But one student raised his hand quickly. "Please come with us, sir." Elisha smiled and said, "I will." So, the next morning, the company of prophets took their tools, axes, and saws and set out for the Jordan River. The sun was high. The birds chirped above the rushing current, and the men began to work. Trees fell one by one. Laughter echoed. The smell of fresh wood filled the air. Among them was a young manager, focused, swinging his borrowed axe with energy. But as he raised it for another chop, clang, swoosh, splash, the axe head flew off the handle and spun through the air, disappearing into the murky depths of the river. "Oh no, master," the young man cried, panic flooding his face. "It's gone. The axe head did sank. And it wasn't even mine. I borrowed it." The others stopped working and gathered around him. Losing a tool was bad, but losing a borrowed tool was worse. In those days, iron was valuable, hard to come by, and even harder to replace. This wasn't just an accident, it could become a debt the young man couldn't pay. But Elisha didn't scold him. He didn't sigh or say, "Be more careful." Instead, he calmly walked to the water's edge and asked, "Where did it fall?" The student pointed to the spot, still trembling. Elisha looked around, broke off a small stick from a nearby branch, and then without a single word threw the stick into the water. The students leaned forward, watching. Was this some kind of test? Was he just throwing sticks? But then, something moved beneath the surface. The river rippled. Bubbles rose. And then slowly, impossibly, the iron axe head floated up, as if it were light as a leaf. It hovered on the water, shimmering in the sun. "Pick it up," Elisha said gently. The young man stepped forward, eyes wide, and carefully reached into the water. His fingers wrapped around the heavy axe head, now resting in his palm like a treasure. He looked at Elisha, stunned. Thank you, master." The miracle's meaning: it was a small miracle in the eyes of men. No thunder, no fire, no parting, see but to that student. It was everything. In that moment, God showed that He cares about the small things, the borrowed things, the things we panic over at night and think no one else sees. Elisha's miracle was not for ferment, was a lesson. Even when it sinks, God can lift it. Even when it's borrowed, God can return it. Even when it's iron, God can make it float. Sometimes we think God only moves in storms and mighty signs. But this story reminds us, God sees the humble worker. He cares about what you borrow. Even in the deep, He can bring restoration. So if you've lost something precious, your peace, your hope, don't panic. Point to the place where you lost it, and let God do what only He can.